Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Cone Dodger here. Welcome back to Automation, the car company tycoon game. Today, we are wrapping up our playthrough of the Lite campaign with the Vanity company. A campaign that went from beginning to end. A full playthrough of the Lite campaign, and what a campaign it has been. We are in the year 2014. We barely got the Magnet Mark IV into production there last time. Our company is doing staggeringly well at the moment. As you can see, we have $46 billion in reserve. We have a score of 34,983. The economy is doing particularly well for us at the end of our campaign here. And if you're wondering why it's the end of the campaign, it only plays through the year 2020. Being the year 2014, today we can design our last vehicle and then engineer it and get it into production just before, hopefully selling for a year, and then we'll get a final wrap. We'll have a score, and that will be that for our Vanity company, which has been a success. It had a rocky start. Overall, I really struggled with the Lite campaign on a player standpoint for pretty much the entirety of the first time I tried to play it and the beginning of this, but now it's really started to jive with me. I have my own style with it that isn't necessarily a min-max, go for the greatest score, you know, be the best car designer ever kind of person. But no, I've been able to tell my own story along with the cars and keep it more in line with the theme series I used to do. So that's been a lot of fun, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and it seems like most everybody has. It's been a little bit drawn out over time, but I think that's been good, as we've been waiting for the development of the Unreal build of the game to unfold, and it very much so is unfolding. Looking here at our score sheet on sales, we're really nailing it as a company overall now. There's some categories that we don't even touch and we don't overall make an impact in, but of the ones that currently have sales, we hit really good in a lot of them. There's a lot of green there and not a lot of gray, so that's great. I'm very pleased with that, and I'm actually very proud of that. Now, I asked at the end of last episode, what's the last hurrah? The last vehicle we make is going to be essentially most likely a waste of money. There's very little chance it would ever increase our score, and it would just cost us money. So why don't we go nuts? And I got a lot of suggestions of, like, a big one, and a big part of this company's history was to do a super truffle, or some kind of crazy truffle, which was our utility vehicle slash van. A lot of requests for trucks, because I never built a truck in the history of the series. Some requests for some kind of, you know, crazy iconic supercar, but I think we really did do that. So I've come up with something that it basically, if you were to take all of those ideas, this is going to be an auditory example. I took all of those ideas and I merged them into one idea. So that's what we're gonna build here for our final vehicle. So here's the things to consider. It's 2014. We need to produce this vehicle within 5 years, or we're not gonna get a chance to see if it sells at all. And depending how crazy this thing gets, I want to make sure it has a chance to sell, just because I want to know that in this little virtual world, there were some of these sold, and, you know, it had an actual history. So our last vehicle, it already has a name. This is going to be the Xavier. And that is because a key element of this vehicle's design is going to be the fact that it is somewhat truck-based. It is true, we never designed a truck in our history of this series, and that is because in this key engine build, unfortunately, trucks are a little bit borked, and they do not sell as trucks. They try to sell as cars, and they just struggle in that category. It can be done. It absolutely can be done. It just wasn't something I was very interested in, since, in general, I prefer cars anyway. However, in doing a little bit of research, I found something interesting. The only truck body in this game of the last 10 years, and I believe this is a modded body, it could not be, it could be a factory body that's just labeled weird, is this one. What's interesting is it has this. That's right, it's a ute body. And I love utes, and I've never made a truck, and I've never made... I don't think I've made a ute in this series. I've made them in other series. Perhaps we had a trim ute at one point. Honestly, over the last 5 years of playing this game, the amount of vehicles I've made all blend together. But our goal today is to make a super ute. People wanted a supercar, people wanted a super utility vehicle, and people wanted trucks. So we're going to pile all of that into one. I have to say, that is a really sharp looking ute body. I always preferred the ones that had the back window that stood up a little bit straighter, but overall, a pretty good looking ute body. Chassis wise, let's do monocoque. We do have the restriction. We gotta keep in mind that although I don't care how much money we spend on this, we have to be able to engineer it in time. So this stuff I'm not gonna go very, very crazy with. Let's do longitudinal. But, like I said, I want this to be something special. So, I'm going to try and be as crazy as I can. What, yeah, they're pretty good. What size tires or wheels would that fit? Oh, 335 front, 315 rear, 325... I could shrink that front fender because I don't really like the way those fenders look at all. So 295, and then I think like a 315 would be fine. Even a 305. I don't think we'll have that much stagger in it. And we can always change that later on. Okay, design-wise. Now this is gonna be. This is not gonna be a, oh, I put headlights and taillights on it. It's good to go. I'm hoping to have quite a style in this thing. So the front's got a pretty brute look. I like that. It actually folds up a little bit, so meaning the part here is a little bit further out than in here. It's kind of in line a little bit with the modern Ford design, but we'll see if we can get around that. That's a pretty simple, dare I say, boring headlight design. Of the ones with projector lights, I think I like those the most. I think I've used these a couple times already, which is fine. You know, it just means our company has some kind of a design language to it. So those might work, but I'm not gonna say those are set for now. I gotta work with some grills. As far as the bottom grill goes, I like that. I've got to figure out what to do with this area. I may even end up rounding that back out. I'm just really not liking the way the headlights sit on there. I'm not liking much about it in the headlight department in this whole area. Oh, now you see, that's the headlight design that fits the front. But I do think if I'm going to do these, I gotta round the nose back out a bit. I didn't take it all the way down, but I just made it no longer have the lip on the edge, so it's just completely rounded over. I do think that is better. But I do still feel like it needs something here. It's too much surface area. It looks a little too 2000s, not enough 2010s or teens, whatever the heck this decade is called. Who knows? Alright, as I wrap up the design in the back, I'm very happy with how the front turned out. Wait. We gotta finish in the back. I want to see if a lip spoiler will go on this trunk lid. Alright, will it flip up? Come on, buddy. You can do it. I believe in you. Flip. What if we bring it down here? There we go, there we go. Ooh, it does weird things. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Let's see. Not bad. Not bad. Honestly, I only chose these taillights because the gap between the two light things lines up with the tailgate gap, and it looks right, even if they don't look error correct. But I think the front is a winner. I'm not done yet. I still have some other stuff I want to do. But yeah, I like the way the front looks. It's aggressive, and it's going to fit the theme of the vehicle for sure. And the back's not bad. Is there anything I could do crazy on the sides to go even wilder with this thing? Well, I did forget that detail. We took care of that. It's got a side scoop, because how many trucks have a side scoop? And, yeah. I think that's a winner. And once we put some wheels on there that are accurately sized, I think it's going to be pretty sharp looking. Our next big decision. What color? I actually quite like the bright red. It works. Oh, it looks good in the dark blue. It looks good in the dark red. It looks good in the dark green. All the colors look good. Probably even looks good in black. Yep. I think I'm just gonna go with the red though. I think that actually fits it the most. It's a perfect balance of obnoxious and ridiculous. Oh, look at the taillights. That's funny. We'll pretend we don't see that. And for a real decision to make, it's gonna be longitudinal all-wheel drive. Not 4x4, but all-wheel drive. That's what I have in mind. For an engine, however, well, I don't know what exactly is going to fit in this thing, but for the category I want to sell this to, I need it to be as prestigious as possible, as car show braggery as possible. I instinctively wanted to build an inline-6 because I love inline-6s and I felt like I never really made any for this series, but that's not quite prestigious enough, so I think we're going to dip back into the V12 category. But let's see what we could do with the V12 in this thing, because I have a feeling it could be a little bigger than we've built. Let's do aluminum silicone and dual overhead cam, 4 valve per cylinder, aluminum silica heads, VVL for sure. Even at 6 liters, the factory size, it does indeed fit, which is very good news. Let's see how far we could take this. We don't want the stroke to be too terribly long. Okay, 6.2, and with a reasonable stroke. I'm hoping for somewhere in the 500 to 700 horsepower range. That's the goal. Let's see if we can get away with just using forged pistons, because the lightweight forged pistons are so much more engineering time for relatively not that much of an improvement. You know, it's an improvement, sure, but I'm not sure if it's going to be the thing that knocks us over a year of engineering time. I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, but when you change the compression, you can actually see the crown of the piston change. That's how they change the compression ratio. So yeah, let's try naturally aspirated. I'm not going to throw turbos out the window, but if we can do something super crazy NA, I would be very pleased. I'm going to try direct injection, so that's why I'm trying to save some engineering time on other things, because I know the direct injection engineering time is massive. Very, very massive. We'll just do twin intakes, but performance ones, running on super. And we can take that AFR down to a lovely, rich 12.0 to 1. Let's hope that it turns at least 8,500 RPM, if not more. Long tube headers. Dual 4-inch exhaust is way too much, to be honest. Let's say 3.25, that's good. Straight through and none. How is our first iteration? I'm not displeased for a first build. It needs some tuning, and if you're thinking, oh man, he's building another V12, how could you get tired of that sound ever? It's just so good. So, how does 13.6 to 1 compression sound? Eat your heart out, Mazda. Yes, I know their engines are far, far higher compression than that. That's just a joke, okay? It's just a joke. You know what I think is most impressive? The fact that this thing has a 66.4 reliability. Now, we may actually end up coming back to this engine because of the fact that its engineering time may be too high, but 779 horsepower and 507 foot-pounds of torque is plenty. I was worried this was going to be like too supercar-y and not road car enough. However, at 2,000 RPM, it's already making like 150 horsepower and 400 foot-pounds of torque. So you could work truck this. That's not impossible. Are you going to want to tow a trailer and rev it to 8,000 RPMs? Probably not. Probably not. We're going to choose manual because I said so. Ooh, our first top speed estimate is 199 miles an hour. If that's not tantalizing, I don't know what is. We've got to get 200. In the end, it may not be possible. You know what one of my absolute favorite parts of the Unreal build is? The fact that you can look at vehicles without them wheels drooped, so you can see their actual ride height. That is something I very much so look forward to. Interior-wise, I'm going to go with a 2-seat setup on Sport, with everything else set to pretty much luxury, because I have a feeling this is going to be selling almost exclusively to premium buyers, and they're going to want that stuff. Even if it doesn't 100% fit our theme, it's not going to hurt us too much, I don't think. Active? Okay. Okay, so the good news initially is that we have 116 and an 86% and 111 and 97%. So at the end of the day, there is a market for this vehicle, even if we couldn't sell it at a profit. But now we got to do some fine tuning on this thing to see if we could work it somewhere into a category where maybe it's something that would actually break even. I guess that's a secondary goal. Can we make this crazy truck, super truck, that's actually a car because it's unibody, that's not body on frame? Oh, I guess I already said that. But could we do that and have it make a profit by the time we hit 2020? There is an interesting proposition. I doubt it, but you never know. Okay, good news. Taking the grill down to the point that it wasn't having way too much cooling. Our top speed is, are you ready for this? 213 miles per hour. Would you want to do that in a Ute? Probably not. Probably not. But it's an all-wheel drive Ute. I don't know that they ever made one of those in a high-performance package, or at all. To be honest, I don't know much about Utes in the Australian sense. Probably due to its all-wheel drive nature, it's a little happier with square setup, so 295 front and rear. That's a pretty good chunk of tire. That's not bad, especially since we're on semi-slicks. Recommended width is 335, 335. I've never seen that displayed before. Well, what is the sports comp? Oh, it is actually a little bit better scoring on the sports compounds. Maybe because the width isn't wide enough for these semi-slicks. What does this one say now? Oh, recommended width 295, 295 on these. Okay. So I guess that makes a little more sense. Ooh, we need more front brake. I guess we'll go up to 4 pistons. And can we get some hotter pads on there? And in the rear, we're actually a little over the top. Oh, we're having fade, however. So, we need bigger rear rotors, likely. It could be in the front. But we've also got some aero to spare if we need to. Okay, it was a matter of going to 18-inch wheels to get bigger rotors in there. Got us down to 0% brake fade, which is very important. And the balance might be a little bit off. No, we can't go any lower because then we hit fade. I think it's pretty good. Speaking of aero, now our top speed currently is 213. We have lips front and rear that could potentially make downforce, or we could do a downforce under tray, but those are limited production, very hard to engineer. But even with full wing, we barely make any downforce. Front and rear, I would believe. No, the front can't even. It can't even. So would we be better off with nothing? We would, because then it just goes faster overall. And faster overall is more prestigious. And it netted us some miles per gallon. We're up to 10.4. Oh, I had some spare quality on the interior. That's going to make these buyers happy. And when they rather premium. Oh, they very much so do prefer premium than sport. Okay, we'll have to take a look at that. That could be changing as we look at the categories this will sell to. Chassis-wise, it looks pretty good. Maybe just a little bit more damper is needed. We could probably go to semi-active. That's a lot of engineering for not so much of importance. Yeah, I think we can just smooth it out with some dampening. Okay, so what's the overall scope of this thing as of right now? It's a 779 horsepower all-wheel drive truck with a manual transmission and double wishbone suspension. You know, that seems perfectly reasonable. And on the test track, you know, it does 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. Kind of slow. You know, it certainly would need a little bit of aftermarket help to get it going. So it's not a light thing by any means. Cornering G does suffer at high speeds, but pretty darn good at low speeds at 1.19. Before I go into the markets and have to ruin this thing, I want to hear it and see it go around the test track, or the airfield track. Anybody's counting, anybody's wondering, it does a 116.2 around the airfield track in current configuration. There you go. Now you know. What do the markets look like? Okay, alright. 3 categories currently that it is above 100. And actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Every category that it would possibly sell to is above 100. Now, of course, we're going to want to make a profit on this thing. Interestingly, doing that shifts it over a little bit, so it would indeed sell to utility sport luxury. So, in a way, you can say that this vehicle is selling to the same categories as possibly a truffle. But primarily, muscle, hyper, GT, and GT Premium are all about this thing. And these are categories with a budget of $183,000 and higher. This thing would be selling at like $35,000. But this is not the stuff I'm worried about. Also, I need to make names for the stuff here. The trim name. Let's see. Okay, alright. I don't think this is going to be sellable in some of the markets because of the fuel thing anyway, and probably not in either Fruenia or Arcana because of safety. Not a big deal. Not too concerned about that. If we can sell any of them in Gazmea, I'm happy. Okay, we're under 5 years, almost at 10 years, but yes, we're under 5 years on the chassis and the engine, but I should be available too. Yep. And that brings it down to 4 years and 6 months. Cool. So in theory, we could make this 4 years and 4 months. And yeah, we'll have like 2 years to try and sell this thing. Almost 2 years, I think. Math is hard. But regardless, there will definitely be a period where we can try to sell this vehicle. Now, this is where it's going to get expensive, because all we have available is the small engine factory from the Hewitt, which is fine, because this is going to be a limited production vehicle for sure. Can I not assign that? Oh, there we go. But we're going to have to buy a plot for the chassis. And to say we would buy a small plot is really limiting how many of these we can make. But again, this doesn't really matter because we're only going to get to see it sell for like a year and a half. So in theory, let me do that. Now, a small 3 on both of those. It's going to get us a very nice 69 cars made, but only 21 engines made. So that's a little disappointing. But it's a very complicated engine. Extremely complicated engine. Like, the most we could even do if we threw all of our resources at it is 22 a day. Which would mean we'd probably, you know, just detune our car factory as well. So 2.5 shifts is the most we could do. I'm just curious what the numbers look like on the break-even, or to see if it's even doable. The price looks like it did come up a little bit on the factory side, but not too much. Okay, so the demand is a slight problem. We may have to buy a factory. That's going to kill our break-even, though. What if we did like 100% markup or something like that? Ugh. Oh, it would sell to Fronia. Interesting. Interesting. 68 months. 68 months of break even. I don't think we would be able to see it do that. Okay, so let's say we bought ourselves a medium engine factory. That would mean that we could do a small 3 on the car side, producing 104 units. And we could do a medium 1, producing 104 engines per day as well. Which would mean that we could run them both at 3 and 3. And what that's going to mean is that the demand can come down because we could produce 3,000 of them versus, 1,000 of them. And even with a crazy markup of 176%, that would give us a break-even of 21 months. So the break-even as of right now would be March of 2020. So we would just not be able to make that break-even point. And I did a bunch of tinkering. It seems like 21 months is the best we could do. Now, I don't know. I've not played one of these through to the end that I can remember. Maybe I did. Yeah, I think I did end the last one. I don't remember if it ends at 2020 or the end of 2020. So if it goes to the end of 2020, I guess we'll get to see this thing to completion. But either way, I just think the principle of the matter that we could make a sport truck supercar GT premium vehicle with 176% markup that costs $2.3 billion to make as a project break even in 21 months is pretty impressive. We just gotta hope that economy stays as strong as it is right now. But hey, it's only a couple years, and it's not our problem after 2020. That's for future game person Cone Dodger to worry about. I don't really care about that guy. Sign off. Alright, well, pretty much nothing for me to do now, but sit back, watch, and enjoy for the rest of this campaign playthrough. 2014, 656,000 cars sold. We're gaining reputation. We're losing a little bit of prestige, which I think is peculiar. Maybe because the magnet has all of a sudden started selling a bunch, and maybe because the truffle, jaws, and sharky are getting long in the tooth. But with a yearly profit of $2.6 billion, I'm not complaining. And the economy is still looking very strong, but it did dip back down. It seems like once you get past like the 80s, especially in this playthrough, in this particular campaign, turmoil is the best you're gonna have. But it's still really good, as long as it doesn't keep going down. End of 2015 and $2.8 billion. Our reputation and prestige have kind of leveled off at this point. Huge amount of cars sold. I have a feeling, yeah, the economy, I think, right at the end of the year picked back up, because the magnet started selling like hotcakes at the beginning of the year, but then kind of fell off at the end of the year, and then the sharky was struggling at the beginning of the year, and then kind of started to come back towards the end. Everybody's still making a profit. The magnet's making us $130 million of profit, and the Bionic 111, the other ones are still doing okay, but a lot of these older ones are not selling to many markets, and therefore are not making as much as they could. It's the end of 2016, 2.5 billion. Pretty much the numbers are staying the same. The economy, I believe, dipped down again. No, it's spiking up. I think the sharky has probably just gotten a little bit beyond its relevance, but that's okay. We can make it a little cheaper, or make fewer of them, or both. And let's see here. Also, the magnet just took off, so I might charge a little bit more for that. We're greedy, very greedy, so we're gonna get a little bit more profit out of this thing. Oh, also another milestone, we passed 40,000 on the score. We'll see if we end the campaign with over the 40,000, or if the Xavier will do some crazy things. Interestingly, the Sharky just found itself a new region to sell to. It all of a sudden picked up in Arcana, and a good amount of them too. And we end 2017, moving into the future, 2.3 billion of year profits still selling 600,000 plus cars per year. Pretty nice numbers. We're getting towards seeing what the Xavier will do. Okay, I paused right here because we need to look at the Xavier before it goes crazy. Let's see. 1.39, okay, so even with the crazy markup, it's still staying relevant. They're saying 4,000 Gasmea and only 26 in Fruinia. That's fine. I guess I need to give it a little time and see what it will do. I noticed the Zoids has started to struggle a little bit, so it's probably going to steal some Zoid sales, which is fine, because that's going to make it make some more profit overall. We'll see. 3 billion! I don't think we've had many years where we made 3 billion. And can you believe it? The Xavier is flying out of the showrooms. It's a penguin pun. I should have gone for a bigger factory. They can't get enough of the thing. It's pretty unbelievable. I could charge more for it, possibly. I mean, there's nothing else I can do. I'm making as many as I can. But the idea of 190% markup is just, it's insane. Alright, it is 2019. I'm going to save it at this point because I don't know exactly how it handles it. I don't remember how it handles it once you finish the campaign, and I certainly do want to go back through in another video and go back through our history and just kind of go through and compare all of our different cars and see which were the best, which were the worst, and all that good stuff. But for now, it's time for the final year, which, by the way, the economy pretty much booming as much as it possibly could. Could not be any better for the end of our campaign here. It's going to be real close. If we can make a total profit on the Xavier of 2 billion, and we have, then I think that did indeed break even by the time we ended our campaign. And that, I think, is pretty magical. And there we go, here we are. That is the end of our campaign. Our final score of 49,190 is 8th on this, I don't think, real leaderboard, but I'm pretty ecstatic about that. I think we really did some amazing stuff as a company. We sold Let's see here, 25 million cars. We had 16 factories, 24 models. That doesn't seem like that many. 26 variants of engines. Oh, I see. Revenue, 410 billion. Cost, 350 billion. Reputation ended at 2.6 and prestige at 4.0. Our final score of 49,190 again. And you can see the ebb and flow of our company, where we started out as, you know, building a reputation, and then we were like, well, we're doing well, might as well up the prestige. And then it was a fight back and forth for the rest of the campaign. The 80s through the 90s were tough, but the 2000s were very good to us. Cars sold per year. By the end of it, we almost reached to the point where we were selling, wait, did I think I said 25 million cars sold? Yeah, that's right. Oh, billions is in money. Yes, okay. I see. So yeah, we were almost to the millions of cars per year sold, but not quite there. This was a lot of fun. I know not everybody enjoys the more, I don't know, this is more of the technical kind of automation stuff versus the other stuff I was doing was more fantasy and more fun. And I kind of struggled with the Lite campaign myself, finding enjoyment in it. But this whole fantasy playthrough has been extremely enjoyable. It's been great having everybody along for the ride. I hope you've enjoyed. There's plenty more automation ideas I have. And soon, the Lite campaign will make its way to the Unreal version. So there will be more campaign playthrough in the future as well. But for today, that's going to do it in automation. But look forward to an overall wrap-up of the company video to come later, once I can compose it.